Oh yeah, we're live.
All right. Yes, we are live. Yes, we are live. Yes, we are live. And we're going to give a moment here to let a few people come in as we prepare
All right. Good
for
morning.
this. Good morning. Good morning. As we prepare for this version of Coach's Corner with the three amigos.
All right. I say Sankofa Mastermind.
I didn't even coordinate with you on this, Oliver, but I guess when we do these coaches corners, maybe I should share out to my Facebook community as well. I got to get more engaged there. So,
Yeah, you would just need to go to my page, my Facebook page, and then
ah,
hit the share button. Go on Facebook on your page to your account, then go to uh, find me on your live on your find me on your feed,
mm-hmm.
and then hit the share button down there. It'll share it to your page.
Super. All right.
All right. Well, good morning and good day, everyone, and uh, we welcome you and greet you to this third version of the Coach's Corner with John, Wayne, and Oliver. John Wayne,
Right.
the gunslinger. John, Wayne, and Oliver. And if you are here for the first time, or if you're catching the replay on this for the first time, uh, first of all, we are three good friends, and we all operate in the same space uh, as some expression of being coaches and mentors. And we have this quarterly live where we come out in these digital communities, digital streets, and we share to add value to the people that we serve and the communities that we serve, and we add goodwill. So we're not just takers, we're more givers than we are takers because it's more blessed to give than receive, right? We've all heard that. And so we're just working the principle, right? It becomes natural to us um, to come here each quarter and to um, not just give you a little bit, but we give you the best that we have in this present moment. And we're happy that you're here, whether you're live or whether you're watching the replay. By the way, my name is Oliver. I'm hosting this thing, um, and um, I operate an online business, sometimes in person, but mostly online. As a coach and mentor, where we target those who feel like they're stuck and might need to get unstuck. And so we are mindset and vision coaches along with my wife, and we just help people to get to the outcomes and the results that they desire in their life. And so that's kind of what we do here. John, Wayne, you guys may want to give a brief introduction to yourself.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Oh, age before beauty. Okay, that's fine. So I am Wayne Moody, yours truly, originally from heaven, but was dropped off in a piece of heaven called Belize. I'm the minister of transformation as per Oliver Blue. He said, "Man, that's who you are." And I said, "I'll take it." So I have a business which incorporates taking my clients from the conception of what the dream is to the manifestation of the dream. That's what I do. I'm a dream builder. So if you have a dream, I coach you to take that dream from conception to manifestation. And I'm doing it personally. So I believe I can't take you where I've not been. So I'm living the life of my dreams and I'm coaching people to do the same. So That's who I am. I'm currently in Houston, getting ready to leave this place called United States, heading back home to Belize. And I'll pass the mic to my brother John.
Bless you, bless you, bless you. Good day, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much, Oliver. Thank you so much, Wayne. I love you guys. Absolutely amazing. My name is John Ebron. For those who don't know me, I am a life and leadership coach with the John Maxwell team and founder of Ebron Coaching and Consulting. So I got my start in this arena during my time in the military. Long story less long, I served 20 years in the United States Army Chaplains Corps, where we focused a lot on spiritual resilience. And about halfway through my time in the military was when we got really hot in Iraq and Afghanistan campaigns, right? And so largely before that time, our understanding is my personal opinion, right? So somebody in the military eventually is going to call me out on my intro, but it's how I feel, and you don't pay my light bill anymore, so I can say what I want. um, so largely, our concepts and our idea around fitness and wellness was strictly physical, right? So I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer. So whenever I'm giving keynotes, I always start off by saying, our philosophy was if your mind was messed up and your marriage was messed up and your money was messed up, but you could do push-ups, good enough. Go to work, right? And then we had this large culture shift. We had this large culture shift, and we our philosophy around fitness being the apex of wellness was just not good enough, right? And so we began to expand out and begin to recognize that we're not only physical, or acknowledge, I guess you should say, we're not only physical, but we're mental, we're spiritual, we're emotional, we're social, we're all of these different components. And so that is what really got me into the work that I do now in the area of emotional intelligence and mental health and wellness. And I absolutely love it. I just love adding value to people. And so, my philosophy is that, my tagline for my company is we're supporting the pursuit of excellence. And excellence is the full embodiment of who we are. So I love these talks that we have because we talk about something that centers around, those kind of topics. So just thrilled to be here.
Wow. Thank you for that story, man. And thank you, Wayne. You guys, we always look forward to this time where we come together. And speaking of story, my passion for helping others and being a mentor and a coach kind of was born out of my own struggles. Kind of birthed out of my own search for, number one, true identity, knowing who I was, and then secondly, trying to find my place in this space called Earth, planet Earth. What am I here for? What am I here to do, to be, to give, to share, to solve, to create? And and all of that was a mystery to me. And then so it created a lot of pain in my own personal life and professional life, but it came to a point. It all came to a head one day, John and Wayne, and it was the greatest day of my life, and it put me on the journey to where I am right here presently. And so all of us, and what I share, what I find out even more and more is the incredible stories that all of us have.
Yeah.
Right? It's the word history, his story. All of us have our own story, and within that story is this gem, is this nugget, right? Is this life that is waiting on us to discover it? Is this identity that's waiting on us to discover, who we are? And so, if you are living, if you are breathing, and if you're listening to us, you are doing both of those things. Then that means that your story, meaning your history, your life, your ups and downs and ins and outs and pains and sorrow, all of it, all of the mess is the ingredient for you to become your very best, right? And so, like, uh, I had a mentor one time, and one of his greatest sayings was, and he was talking about his own personal experience. He said, "Out of my greatest pain came my greatest life."
Without a doubt. Yeah.
without a doubt, right? And a lot of times we try to run away from the pain. We try to forget the heartaches. We try to suppress, the very thing that is the container of the life that we're looking for. Like you did work in um, uh, physical exercise, right? In getting uh, uh, in shape and all of that. And even in this yoga work that I'm doing now, I'm being taught to go into the pain. That's where the healing is, in the pain. So,
Right.
John, you may want to speak to that, from a workout standpoint. But I'm being taught that now by my yoga mentor and coach.
Yeah. There is not a initially, and I try not to speak in absolutes a lot, right? Because that's when you get stuff in trouble. But generally speaking, there is not an innate awareness that you're bigger than the pain, right? For most people, they feel, even if they don't articulate it, that the pain is bigger than them. So success is in avoiding the pain. But when you go within and find out that you're bigger, you find out about yourself, not about the pain. You find out about yourself, that you are bigger than the pain. Then you begin to develop lifestyles, life strategies that entails going into the pain and utilizing the pain, right? And it's so amazing when you really start to get there, right? You get to that point of, now you have to have, again, it all starts with self-awareness, right? And Wayne's going to get us in a second, right? Because everything starts with what, Wayne?
Awareness, yes.
Thought, baby. Everything starts with a thought, but it's what are you thinking about yourself?
Mm.
You begin to develop a thought process, a thought life around the bigness of myself, right? I'm studying Eastern philosophy in my Shaolin practice, and there's this concept of the larger universe and the smaller universe, right? Like the human body is seen as just as complex as the cosmic universe, right? And when you start recognizing how big you are, then whether something is painful or not becomes a secondary conversation, right? It's not a big deal. And once that pain gets from here to here, then we can start going into the pain and utilizing it for our benefit. And when we don't have that kind of thought life, we don't have that kind of thought management, and consequently from those thoughts, we don't have that emotional state, we don't have that response and results, then we have to make where we're at big enough for us, right? So people talk loud and say nothing. Right? Oh, they talk big. And a lot of times when you're in a room with someone and they're scared to let someone else speak, it's because their talk, that big loud talk, is full of hot air, and they're scared if somebody else say something, it's going to deflate them, right? And all that can be reverse engineered back to, you are scared of your pain.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? As you're talking about that, John, we have this saying, "No pain, no gain," right? And I've had to come to grips with that reality too. The fact that if I'm gonna, let's say, start working out in the gym, where we want to start is realizing where I'm at. Because if I come in the gym and I'm like, oh, I can pump 350, boy, please, you can't pump 350. You got to know where you are. And transformation begins with acknowledging and taking responsibility for where I'm at, as far as I'm consciously, right? And then as I start, I will feel pain. And I've seen it sometimes. I've been working out, and then I stop working out, and then I come back again. And I have to go through what I call that sweet pain, because I know this pain is going to take me to the place where I'm going to feel good about it. But I got to go through that process. And you said something about this before talking, where when you exercise, your body becomes to a state of where you get accustomed to it. And then you got to go to another level where, because you work out to where now it's not anything to do this. I'm doing the 25, but in order for me to go, I got to put on some additional 25, but it's going to feel like it's going to be resistance.
Yeah.
And sometimes we run away from the resistance when it's the resistance that is coming that is going to cause us to expand
Yes.
and grow. So I love what you're saying with that as far as embracing the pain, because a lot of times it's easier to run away from the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to deal with it. And this is why, for example, when we talk about, like, let's say PTSD, you got to go back and revisit and process the pain.
Mm-hmm.
When you process it, and then you what's the word that you use? You redefine,
Yeah.
or you say,
Fire. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right, you say what it really is. And
Mm-hmm.
what it really is the process.
Yeah. And it's and you and in my opinion, I'm gonna say the word have to, right? You have to have a guide that, in my opinion, that is trained and licensed and prepared to take you on that journey. Like, now if I wanted to go on a spirit guide, I'd find my spirit animal, or spirit person, or spirit whatever. Right? But if I want to go on a journey of reconsolidating myself after a trauma, for example, everybody has anecdotal experiences, right? And they're valuable in their own place. But I advocate, there's three circles of support that you need to build for yourself, right? You have your core conquering skills, and those are the things that works for you. And you do the trial and error, you figure out breathing exercises. And if it's not breathing, it's meditating. If it's not meditating, it's taking a walk. If it's not taking a walk, it's hanging out with your wife or your husband or whatever. If it's not that, it's journaling, whatever. But you do what works for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I advocate having a formal and an informal self-care strategy that you do that, right? So all into that. That's all in the core. But then you got to have what I call your structured self-care. That's you guys, right? Those are the people that you structure around yourself. You do this, right? You contract with the people in your lives and say, Wayne, I see you as someone that my back is against the wall, I can come to you, right? And are you okay with that? Are you willing to support me in that way? And if Wayne says, you know what, man, my cup is full, and I ain't got time to support nobody else, right? I have to be okay with that and say, okay, I acknowledge that, I respect that, move on, find someone who does, until I find a Wayne that says, yeah, I'm here for you. If you need me, call me, right?
Yeah.
But you have to have those, I always say, Jesus had the 12, but when he went up on the Mount of Transfiguration, he brought 3, right? He had those 3 around him that could handle his change, right? And so you got to have that structured self-care, the people that you put around you, you contract with them. You don't just assume because they can that they will, right? So you contract with them. You make sure that they're cool with that. And then you have your third circle, and that's your professional care. And let me tell you a question. Don't you know I got a therapist? And don't you know I got her on speed dial? And I got a relationship with her where I can say doctor, but I can also say girl. You ain't gonna believe. I gotta listen. You got any space on your calendar? Because I just had a thing. You know what I'm saying? But she is my professional care. I have coaches. Those are my professional care. My mentors. I have my professional care. You got to have all 3 of those, and it's helpful to have that structure in place before you need the structure, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
sometimes you can't, but if you can do that, in the Army, we say in the middle of a firefight, that's the wrong time to be cleaning your weapon, right? All of us shooting at me like, hold on one second, I just gotta get this one piece clean. That's not gonna work, right? You need to have that weapon ready.
Sunday, I was talking to a friend, and he said this, and it's what you said. He says, Harvey McKay said this, right? Dig your well before you're thirsty.
I love it. I love it. That's it. That's the whole thing, right?
Dig your well before you're thirsty, because you don't want to be digging for the well when you're thirsty.
It's a little too late.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But John, we understand that. Like most people understand that when it comes to things like, I need a dental coach, I need a physician coach, I need an insurance coach, right? I need a investment coach. I mean, we get it with that, but a lot of times we don't get it when it comes to our personal well-being,
Mm-hmm.
right? And though we have these layers of support around us when it comes to those things, we don't have them around us when it comes to our own personal well-being, our own, not seeing the need, right, for like Wayne and I, we are partners and believers. Wayne and I, we are mastermind coaches, and as well as you, John. And and like you said earlier, don't just assume it, but get the agreement about it. And John and Wayne and I talked about it 2 years ago, and this is kind of how Coaches Corners got birthed. And so um, and this is the space that the three of us operate in, right? Because we're out here,
Yeah.
being a voice to our communities, saying, hey, what is it that where are you stuck? What is it that you feel like is holding you back?
Mm-hmm.
And we teach basically that with support, you can get there much faster and with greater ease. Without support, you stay in this experimental framework,
Yeah.
and your life become an experiment. And thus you see the pain and the suffering, the disappointment, the frustrations, right, in people's personal and professional life. So
Super.
point well taken. Point well taken.
Yeah.
Now
And
y'all see why I hang around these two guys.
But I like what you guys both says. You got to be intentional
mm-hmm.
because it's not just going to happen by osmosis.
Yeah.
And you got to know this is what I want, and I'm going to ask for what I want, and I'm going to be also giving what I'm asking for. And one thing that I say, reference to the work that I do, if I'm going to get a personal trainer in the gym, because I want to see accelerated results as far as my health, I want to see the chest, I want to see the arms. I'm going to get someone in the gym that looks like what I can desire and who are very much what I am wanting to become.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to being a dream builder life coach, I have to be manifesting the dream becoming a reality. And I can only teach what I'm actually living. And as a Maxwell, I know John is here to talk about being an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't take you where I've not been. Otherwise, we'll be actually going there together. And there are places where we're going together, but then there's some places I've been before that I can take you. And that's when I can say, man, I'm going to guide you there because I've been there. One of the things that I know is that you want to be good at what you realize that you are at. I have started a journey over 44 years ago being a world changer. And how that happened, I decided I was going to have God change my life so I can then change. And therefore, I can then do the same and influence others to change. And therefore, I've been changing over 44 years. And if anything I know I can do is change because I'm changing as I'm speaking today.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person that you talked to yesterday.
Right.
And I won't be the same person tomorrow because today I'm working at being a better me than I was yesterday. And then tomorrow I'm going to be working at being a better me than I am today. And while sometimes people know you for who you were, every so often I have to go back and reintroduce myself and say, because this is not the person. And sometimes, especially like elderly folks, they say, oh, this is my little John. I remember little John. Oh, this is my little Oliver. Hey, that little Oliver is not Oliver, and that little John is not John.
Back up. I ain't that dude no more.
Nope.
Mm. Yeah.
Good points, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, John. Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say I wanted to yes and to what you were saying. I know we've been using this kind of physical fitness analogy as we kind of started off our conversation. You want it does amaze me whenever you go somewhere and someone is working in a particular industry and they don't look like their industry, right? Like you go in, it's like, oh, that's the bomb barber, right? That guy can cut hair like nothing, and he looked like Sleestack from the Land of the Lost or some foolish, right? Like, go comb your hair and then cut your hair and then come back to try to cut. But sometimes outward appearance can be deceiving, but you want to engage with someone whose marketing is on point, right? You want to look the part. However, right? That is one of several factors, in my opinion, that needs to be addressed, right? So you still want to work with someone that's qualified. I was actually interviewing a young man who I think is amazing, right? I'm looking at possibly hiring a personal trainer for a goal of mine, and as I'm listening to that, now, so this guy reaches out to me on social media somewhere, right? So he connects with me, and then he asks me about my goals and stuff. I said, well, let's talk about it, right? And then we get to the, let's say, discovery, right? And so now it's my time to express to him what I'm trying to obtain, and he needs to express to me how he could be a part of that success story, right? So, what are your philosophies? What are your methodologies? What is your process? And everything that he said, he turned into right before my eyes, right? He turned into one of those too cool for school guys, right? You know, he kind of got a little settled in, and he got his little eyes kind of, the bedroom eyes going, and like, I'm very disinterested because I don't need this business. I want to have your business, but it's not really a big deal. And it's just really up to you, sir. It's really up to you what you want. And I said, what I want is to end this damn call. Because you are wasting my time, right? You're great at what you do, I'm sure. I mean, you got your biceps have biceps. That's wonderful, right? But that doesn't mean you can get me to where I'm going just because you're wearing a particular aesthetic, right? So I always say to people, if you're out there, if you're not in this world today, if you're not serving someone, you're missing it. My personal opinion. What are you doing? If you're not serving someone, you're missing. But if you're of a servant for leadership philosophy, if you're serving people, you have got to make sure that there's energy coming from you to the people, not just energy coming to you from the people, right? And so if you want to start this cycle of energy between the two of you, and then maybe overlay some dollars on that cycle, right? So people start sending you money, right? You've got to serve people.
Yes.
You've got to serve people, and you got to make sure, and hopefully we're getting into our sowing and reaping here, but you got to make sure that you are priming the pump, as the old folks used to say back in the day, right? A lot of people don't know how a well works, right? Sometimes you got to prime the pump a little bit, get it going before you can start getting the water to come to you. But you've got to have an energetic exchange. I think the biggest thing between leaders is starting that cycle, right? If you're a leader and I'm a leader, and you're a giver and I'm a giver, the biggest thing we got to do to get things going is to synchronize who and how's going to start the process, who's going to give first, right? We should be rushing to give if we are service oriented, not just rushing to receive. Receiving happens as an effect to the cause of giving. And if you have an identity, if you're big enough, if you see yourself as secure enough to give first, then you are the catalyst that begins that process.
You know what? We teach in Brave Thinking Institute as far as the law of circulation, right? If I am not in a position to receive. I got to give, and therefore, then when I give, I'm in a position to receive. And that's a law in itself, the law of sowing and reaping, which we talk about sowing. And the thing is, seeds is where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
And an acorn becomes an oak tree, becomes a forest. And a seed, one of the things that I know about a seed is that in a seed has all the genetic makeup for producing what the seed should actually be presenting. And it is said that there's some seeds found in the tombs in Egypt. And those seeds, when they're brought and put in the atmosphere for it to bring forth what is in the seed, it brings forth the seeds.
It still germinates today.
It still germinates. And Oliver was sharing this past week about the law of love, right? Which is connected to the law of sowing and reaping. Because if I give love, love is going to come back to me. And book says, give, and it shall be given unto you what? Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. So giving and the sowing and reaping comes in because I am as a result of all the seeds I've sown up until now. And some of the seeds had some, like I said, the seed is going to, if I'm sowing a seed of bitterness, the harvest that is going to come from that is going to be not something that I desire.
Yeah.
And think about it. Going back to my fundamental, the thoughts are seeds. The words are seeds. The actions are seeds. And therefore, what is coming back is what I've sown.
So you mean to tell me if I put some pumpkin seeds in the ground, but I really, really, really want some apples, I can't will that into existence? I can't make that happen for myself. Was that
It's
what
a
you're trying to
law. It's a law. And I want to throw something out here reference to or what we have to eat today, because what is happening today, they're endeavoring to remove the seeds.
say?
I don't want it if it doesn't have the seed. I've been running away from seedless grapes, seedless watermelon, seedless, because that has been genetically modified.
Yeah. I
This
went to the supermarket the other day and I bought a big watermelon. All the watermelons I've seen, these little basketball watermelons. I like that's adorable. Like I want a watermelon. I want to I want my biceps to be hardened and worn out by the time I get to the register. But they had two containers, right? They had these two big cardboard containers, and one contained watermelons that are seedless, and one contained watermelons that had seeds. I was like, that is so interesting. So of course, I went and grabbed the seeded one, right? And kind of cut it up, and I got it in containers over there in the kitchen and whatnot. But yeah, I was like, I thought that was interesting to see. Like, you have the option, right, of the seedless one or the seeded one. That's just popped in my head.
Wow. Well, this ship has definitely left the dock. This this plane has took a flight. So we're gonna back up a little bit because today's subject that we want to share on um, has to do with the law that really governs this entire universe,
Mhm.
the visible and the invisible, right? Because just think, where there is no law, there's chaos. Where there is no law, there is no certainty, right? But because there is law, and law simply means that which is changeless, that which is timeless, that which is formless, but that which is always present. And so that means you can count on it.
Mhm.
You can take it to the bank on it, right? And so we live in a universe of law. And this world that we live in is based on a law. And I think from my study that the ultimate law is the law of love. And then all of these other things that come out of it comes out of love, right? Because from my perspective, and I'm adding a little bit of um, my belief here, is that everything come out of love. Love is the source. Spirituality said that God is love, that the universe is love, everything is love, right? So love is a law, meaning it is unchangeable, it's unalterable. But the good news is we can count on it, right? So within that law, there's the concept that what every seed produces after its own kind, just like you guys were getting into. So that means you can count on the fact that when you sow a certain seed, you're going to get a certain outcome. Because
Mm,
just think about it, John. If we did not have that, if that was not the center of the universe,
Mm.
then we all would be lost,
mm,
right? Because there would be an uh, unequivocal or inequitable system that we're operating in, and there would be no certainty. But because of the law, there's certainty. That means that I can now, like Wayne said, be intentional about the seeds I sow, knowing
Wow.
that these seeds are going to produce a certain outcome or a certain result.
Yeah.
And so that's the basis for which all three of us share these principles, share these skill sets with our clients, those in our community, to say, hey, we've gotten exactly what we've sown. Because when you pick up, like if you walk into the forest and if you see a stick laying in the forest, you notice when you pick up one end of that stick, you also pick up the other, because sowing and reaping are the same, giving and receiving are the same. There's really one act, because when you sow it, you're saying, this is what I want to receive. So all of our lives and all the results of our lives is the result of that law that is working perfectly all the time, whether we are aware of it or not.
So
And it says the greatest of these, the greatest, the greatest of these is love.
mhm.
I mean, and I can speak with the tongues of men and angels. I can do all this stuff. If I don't have love, I'm nothing. And I love to believe that I am a seed because my mom had an egg and my dad shot millions of sperm. One of them hit. I was conceived. That's a seed. And what is in me genetically is from that seed of my parents, Genetically, I mean, you guys know, if you look at me, you see my father, but that's my humanity.
Yes.
And when it comes to who I am spiritually,
Mhm.
made in the image, and John says this, when God wanted to boast, he said, let me make Oliver. Let me make John, because I am a unique expression of who God is. You're a unique expression of who God is. And our responsibility is to express who God is through us
Yeah.
individually, because I'm an expression of who God is. As much as I'm in this humanity, but yet who I am spiritually, I'm a unique expression of who God is.
Mhm.
And God is love. Therefore, love has to be flowing through me constantly. And the seed that I am, I have to reproduce after my kind.
Yes.
I won't bring anything other than what it is.
Mhm.
So when it comes to the actions and the other, because there are a lot of different kind of seeds. Like John was saying, you have pumpkin seeds, tomato seeds. And what I learned recently, that anything that has a seed is a fruit.
Mm.
If it doesn't have a seed, it's not a fruit.
Interesting. Okay, I never did that.
That's the definition that they give for what is a fruit. A fruit has seeds.
He's within it. Yeah. Okay.
And,
Interesting.
So if it's seedless, it's
it's
not a fruit. So that kind of explain all the inorganic man-made things, right, that we come in contact with, that we consume.
it's fast approaching and increasing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's producing an outcome and a result, like
Yes.
dis-ease and dysfunction, right? It doesn't support the natural processes. It doesn't support love.
Yeah.
It
So
doesn't
it's still
support that law.
cool.
Yeah, it doesn't support that law. In other words, it is in opposition to that law.
Right. Right. It
Right?
proves the law by being an
But it
opposition.
actually proves the law.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if it doesn't have a seed, it can't reproduce.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's about control. So it means that if everything is going to seed less, the only person that's going to be responsible is for the person that is actually producing it. So then there's going to be control.
Wow.
Because if you're going to go after the
Right.
order of things,
That's right. That's right.
if you're going to go after the order of things, it means that a seed, everything should be reproducing after its kind.
Yes. And it's universal.
Yes.
And it's available to everyone equally. Because that's what love is, right?
You can plant a pumpkin seed anywhere in the world.
Right. And it will do its thing.
And think about it, a seed, and I'm using the science here. You plant the seed. Remember when we did the experiment with the bean as a kid in school? You put the bean in the pot, and that bean goes to the light.
Right. Yeah, the root grows towards.
It goes to the light, right? And you got to put water in. So you got to do certain things with the seed. You don't just, because if you just put the seed there, the seed can just remain the seed. But if you want to see the seed coming to what it's supposed to be, you got to put the water, you got to put the light.
Yeah.
So there are things that you need to do with the seed, that the seed could then be manifested to be what it's supposed to be, because in that seed is everything. In me is everything that I'm supposed to be.
Right.
I got to put the water, I got to get the light, and then afterwards, whoop, I become.
Wow, guys, that's interesting. Go, John.
I wanted to go back to and I don't know, I guess I'm on this kick right now. Maybe because this is what I'm experiencing right now with a lot of my clients and my own personal journey. But I want to go back to that definiteness that you were talking about earlier, you alluded to earlier, as it relates to the seed. Like, this is a law, right? Laws are not subjective, right? So they don't apply to you some of the time or this person none of the time. universal laws are universal, right? And it provides for us, as you said. I love the way you said that, because I don't know if I've heard it, articulated quite that way, but it provides a certain level of certainty that allows you to be secured inside of that, right? People see um, being law abiding as constraining, but law abiding can be securing, you know. And I always talk about this contrast of, and we probably talk about, I think we talked about this last coach's corner I was on, this idea of living in your truth
Yeah.
versus being true by being in compliance with the truth,
Right.
right? And I just think it takes a lot of burden off of you to to fashion your life to be true versus to be the truth, right? I don't want to be the standard everybody has to meet. I want to meet the standard, right?
Mhm.
It gives me space and opportunity to grow into my full self versus being the standard for everyone else to reach. And I think that the law of sowing and reaping gives that definiteness. We are, what I'm experiencing, what I'm seeing in the world is people are really, really idolizing flexibility and indecision, right? You can't ask a question and get an answer, right? So, what happened last week talking with the client? What did you experience last week? Well, sometimes when you think about, I don't want none of that foolishness, right, that you're trying to give me. What happened last week, right? Because if you don't give me the seed, we can't take it to fruition. We can't reap anything from it.
Right.
And it's okay. Is okay. Absolutely, wherever you are is okay. It's probably not okay to be there next week, right? Or next year, right? But where you are is where you are. That's the seed you're working with. That's fine, right? But we need to be okay with being definite, to having integrity that says this is what it is
Because
today.
if you don't turn, you're going to be doing something called deception.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I could be saying, this is a mango seed. This is a mango seed, and it's not. And I can plant it. I'm like, I'm waiting for mangoes.
Yeah.
You could wait until, like they say, till you're blue in the face, but it's not going to give you mangoes.
No. No.
And the
Yeah.
amazing thing, you were talking about the universe earlier, right? Where there's this who we are, and then there's this vast expanse.
Mhm.
And you can go down to the mitochondria. You can go down to the elements.
Mhm.
And there is so much. I mean, they're studying now just the smallest particle.
Mhm.
And there's so much knowledge reference to the smallest particle. And yet there is the expanse of what we have. I mean, it blows the human mind to say, come into the understanding. And yet, I take a deep breath.
Mhm.
That source of life, I'm one with and breeds me.
Yeah. And at that smallest iteration, love is prevailing. That's the law that is providing that element, whatever it may be, form or formless, right? You know, in scripture, when we hear the scripture, be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. When we hear that, the majority of the population see that as some kind of indictment against
Right.
us personally, right? We've been so cultured and mentored that is like the indictment that's been laid against all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna reap what you sow. It's used as a negative. No,
Yeah.
this is the guarantee. This is the
Can I,
promise.
can I tell you
This is like I've said, this is what you can, this is what saves us. The fact that the law of love is not a respect of person.
Can I tell you, because I know we wanted to get a few minutes to share what has been happening with us in the last quarter, right? Can I tell you what I've been reaping from what I've been sowing?
Sure.
Yesterday, I finished week 12 of Dream Building with the Minister of Tourism in the Nation of Belize. And
Super.
were talking, and I was talking to him about where he was now and where he was when we started. And he's like, I'm not the same person.
Different person, yeah.
And what I asked him for, which you guys are going to see, I asked him for less than a minute, just a word on what this process has been as I'm working with him as being his life coach. And you know that's going to go on my webpage.
That's
But
awesome.
that is the law of sowing and reaping. I met him as a young person back in Belize when I was teaching. Fast forward now, he's actually the Minister of Tourism of the nation of Belize, the highest GDP earner. One of my clients in Belize said to him last year, I have a life coach, his name is Wayne Moody. And he said, that's my coach. He was my junior high math teacher. He reaches out to me and says, I want you to coach me. Now, I sowed the seed back then as a teenager. I took him under my wings and I was very much mentoring him as a teacher. He comes back now, and where he is, he's actually a part of the government. I'm his life coach. I sowed the seed. I'm reaping a harvest.
Super, super, super. Yeah.
It's always working perfectly. It's
Yeah.
all, but this is the deal. Like, a lot of people are reaping from good seeds that they're sowing, but they don't, or they're succeeding, but they don't understand why they're succeeding, and so they can't transfer it to another.
Hmm.
Right? That's where coaching and mentoring and expanded awareness come in, because you want to be able to understand, right? Because a lot of people stumble up on the system, right? And that's good. I'd rather stumble up and be sowing good seeds than not knowing and sowing bad seeds and drowning myself with outcomes and results that I don't want.
Yeah.
So so that's where coaching and mentoring is so important, is that we not only bring you the principle, but then we bring you structure to put around the principle, right? So that it can be duplicated and repeated time and time again, in which what dream building is all about, right? It's about you taking the universal laws, right? And being intentional about building a life that you would love. And I know, John, uh in your space, with the John Maxwell and what that's all about. That's really your goal with as you work and share with your community.
Yeah, yeah. In the John Maxwell space, in our little universe, we say a couple of things, right? That it's really kind of become mantras for us. Right? First and foremost, we say we are people of value who value people and add value to them so they can add value to the world, right?
Hmm.
People of value, and we value them, so we add value to them so that they can add value to the world, right? So we start off with ourselves, the seed, right? Get good first. If I truly am here to serve you, I need to get good so I can have something to serve you with, right? And that is true if you're a husband or a wife or a spouse or a son or a daughter or a teacher or a butcher or a baker or a candlestick maker, whatever you are, right? It's essential for you to value you first, because God is going to put you in the space of valuable people. And whenever I'm teaching, I was, I wanted to also mention, we're talking about mental health, kind of starting off a little bit, right? And so, we just came out of Mental Health Awareness Month, and now we Men's Health Month, right? Men's Health Month, right? Interestingly enough, all of the, I would say 90% of the trainings that I did last month around men's health, all the trainings that were requested were for men's mental health, right? I mean, health is, the comprehensive subject, but everybody was really interested in the mental, because we've been neglecting that, right? But I always lead off my teachings with my webinars with, you are valuable. That's why we're here today. because you are valuable.
Mm.
And I know how much of a throwaway statement that can feel. Nah, he just want to get paid, so he's going to tell us we're valuable, so we sign that check. And yes, I want you to sign that check, and I want you to send it to 3333 Oakville Court. But anyway, it's not a throwaway statement. It legitimately is. You are valuable. You're valuable. And because you're so valuable, I want to get good at what I'm doing. I'm a person of value, right? And I value people. So I add value to people, cause seed, right?
Mhm.
So from seed to harvest, to seed to harvest, right? I am a person of value. So, and I value people. So I'm going to add value to people so they can add value to the world, right?
Yes.
So that's one thing. And the other thing we say is that everyone deserves good leadership. Everyone deserves good leadership. That's why we do what we do.
Can I jump in here and throw a wrench in the
Go for it.
what would we call what happened last week Thursday as far as good leadership?
Foo la la. That's what I would call that. I'm not gonna get too deep into the politics, but yeah. Yeah, that was
So it's just that it was a reflection,
Mhm.
not so much of the persons or the person, but it's a reflection of the mental state of our nation. That's what that was.
Certain seeds have been sown, right?
Because one person cannot represent or be the reflection of a populace. No, that's the result of the mindset of the nation.
Right.
that
No, you
we
got to
all
go
get.
there. You
So,
got to go
so,
there.
so I don't have no, I have all respect for them being able to represent what they think is right, but the root of that is the populace because we allow that. We
What
allow that.
what
We're saying that's yeah. So
what are we thinking? What are we thinking? Because the harvest that we're getting is as a result of the seeds that have been
it's a
sown.
reflection. Like I said, that's a reflection
So
of
the
the
seeds
populace.
have been sown, so it's now harvest time. And what are we harvesting?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what you harvest today, a portion of that is what you're going to use to sow
So
tomorrow.
tomorrow's right. So if what you're harvesting is not a good seed, then you turn around and we're right. So it's a cycle. So
So we have to
how do
pray.
you break the cycle? Right.
You
Right.
remember?
Right.
You
That's
remember?
the thing. That's the thing. How do you
You
break?
remember what happened? There was a reference where in the Bible it says Jesus walked past and he saw a fig tree
Mm.
and it wasn't producing, and he said he cursed it. He spoke to it.
Woo.
The seeds that are not being, I mean, honestly, if you're not being fruitful, then what do you do with the tree? You prune it, and then it's going to bring more fruit. But you got to do some cutting away of. You got to decide. You got to cut away from. But if there is you don't want to have, like, for example, a weed. A weed is not profitable. So what do you do with the weed? If I have thought processes that are not profitable, what do I do with those thoughts?
And it's okay, right? Again, the weeds in our minds is not an indictment, as you were saying.
That's not an indictment.
Not an indictment. It is something that you get to exercise your will upon, right? I used to feel this way. I used to feel so strongly, Oliver Way. I used to feel so strongly that I had to have loyalty to every thought that came to my top of mind awareness. If I'm thinking it, I have to hold on to it, because it's here and I got to work with it. And I have maybe because I got arthritis in my left knee now and I'm getting too old to give a damn, but I have learned I can just let stuff go, right? I am not a goose, as Jim Rohn would say, right? I don't just operate off of instinct. I have been given the human endowment of human will, and I can make a decision. I used to do it just like this, and now I've become aware that doing it just like this served me when I was 12, but it doesn't serve me when I'm 20. It doesn't serve me when I'm 40. It doesn't serve me when I'm 60. So I'm gonna tear this up and I'm gonna throw that away and I'm gonna do something completely different tomorrow. And the person who knows me then have the opportunity to get introduced to the new person today. And if you don't want to do that, it's a two-step process. You got to do those two steps in order. If they're gonna help you, first go find somebody who gives a damn, and then secondly, tell them I could care less about what you want to hold me to, how I used to be
Right.
back then.
That's
I
right.
am a new person today, and we're doing new things. And we can make
Yes.
that decision
Yes.
ourselves in the split of moment, a split of
Yes.
a moment, right? The
Yes.
moment we become aware,
Yes. Yes.
self-awareness leads to self-regulation. We can do
Yes.
something about it, but we got to get here.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's our power to choose.
Yeah.
In between stimulus and the spot and response, there's a space. And in that space, right, we get to choose, right? And
Yes,
so
sir.
the weeds, so everything that comes in our consciousness, you're right. We don't have to uh we don't have to engage in it. I mean, it just comes into our awareness. And so
Yeah.
the discipline is learning uh to engage with those things that serve us and ignoring those things that do not serve us, right? Because
Mhm.
we're being fed a whole plethora, a
Ooh.
menu that is so filled with that which is, again, that which is appearing to be at war with the law of love,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so it's a matter of knowing, it's a matter of understanding, and all you're getting, get understanding, right? And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because I struggle in life not knowing some of these things that we've discussed today, and to not know the law of seed time and harvest, to not know the law of sowing and reaping, to not understand the law of love, which is what we're talking about, which in creation everything was given the one time in creation, and it was given equally into all.
Mhm.
Any other idea contrary to that, right, is designed to deceive us out of all of the good that we are, all of the value that we are, all that was given to us, right? Because I was reading last night where it says that depression, and we live in a society that is epidemic in depression, is no more than not being aware that you've been given everything,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? The depression comes out of having a, I had it right here. What did I do with it? It was right
You
here.
know what? You know what, Bishop?
Hang on, John. It said depression comes from a sense of being deprived of something that you want and do not have.
Mm.
So that means we don't understand that we've been given all things
Can you
already.
read it one more time?
It says, let me start here. It says, when we are sad, know this need not be. Depression comes from a sense of being deprived of something you want and do not have.
Yeah. So it's a
So
sense of it. It's not a reality.
it's a sense of, right,
I love
wanting, can't get it.
it. Yeah.
And then the flip side of that is those that have it, don't want it.
Right.
So,
Right.
so the peace and the joy and the happiness don't come from not having it or having it. It comes from the knowing and understanding the love.
And that comes, it goes back to one of the fundamental teaching. It comes with what you think.
Yes.
Bishop Noel Jones said we think ourselves into depression, and we have to think ourselves out of depression. Because I can, for example, no, the word no is neutral. That's what I've learned. Because I can take a no, have a pity party, oh me, oh my, I'm not worthy, why they didn't choose me, and I can send invitations and I can go into that rabbit hole of depression. But no, what I learned is I can find no to be direction and protection. It's the same no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I've said recently to the folks that I work with, I said, I do not work with no's.
Yep.
I work with yes. So if you say no, not have me as your life coach, good to know.
Right.
I'm not working with you. I'm working with yes. I'm glad that I know that you're a no, but I'm working with a yes.
Right. Yeah.
I'm deserving of a yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in reality, all things, because things are not knowing, all things are neutral. And uh nothing is either neither good nor bad. Our what thinking makes it so.
Thinking makes it so. Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
stuff that has
Thinking
happened,
makes it
all
so.
the stuff that has happened to me, Mary Morrissey says the content of my life is the curriculum of my evolution. If I take away anything that I've experienced so far in life, you wouldn't have Wayne today.
That's right.
Mhm.
The ups and the downs, even the stuff that I would have preferred not to have, it still make me who I am today.
Yes, yes. Wow, guys, we didn't go kind of like deep into the ocean, and I call it the ocean of love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ocean of love. And you talk about, and we're going to be closing here in a minute, but you talk about what's happening with Truly, what's happening with what's going to be happening with us. This second half of 2024, and you guys know we entered into the second
We
half of
did
the
it,
year.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're asking my mind where the time's gone, but um, you're going to see a shift in my messaging, a shift in my offerings. In the second part of the year, just a slight shift, but it's a necessary shift because you know um, I've been had this internal pull to return to my first love, right?
Ah,
Return to my first love. And my first love has always been the fact that my self-discovery, right? The moment that I discovered and actually had an real experience with what love is, right? The purity of it, the absolute freedom of it, the absolute uh, bliss of it, right? And that pull has been like tugging at me uh, ever since I've been in this coaching space. Because once you get in the coaching space, right, it takes you years to really find your niche, right? To really find your voice, right? Just like in anything else. These young kids just got drafted into the NBA last week. Young kids, 18, some of them are 18, 19, 20, 21, young kids, right? And they're excited because that was a dream that they had, right, Wayne? But it's going to take them a few years to find their place within the league. They may have to get traded 2 or 3 times. They may have to, whatever they go through to find or to fine tune, right, their place in that space. It's just part of the process. And so, even in what we do in our own evolution as transformational coaches, performance coaches, mindset coaches, vision coaches, dream builder coaches, there's a fine tuning that's been happening to the three of us since we pursued this journey.
yeah.
And I'm just at a turning point to where I'm saying yes, right, to that first love, right? So, and my first love has always been about um, identity, right? And that's why we even put it in our marketing and our name. Truly, the real you loves you, because the real you is love. And that's always been my love, right? And so what's going to be happening with us in this second part is that you're going to be getting these more focused messages on love and the law of love, and the basically um, love is yourself, love is your identity. And so you're going to see a slight shift coming from all things Truly in the last part of 2024. Yes.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
And I know it's going to be this or something greater
Or
still.
something greater still. Something greater still. So John,
Yes, sir.
anything, any
Oh,
tweaks you're making? What are you seeing in the latter part of your 2024?
yeah. I'm super excited.
Personally and professionally.
Yeah, personally, the both of you know that I'm a practitioner of Shaolin Kung Fu, right? So I'm a practitioner of the Shaolin art. And I really returned to my love of Shaolin this year. And it was really interesting. At the top of the year, I was really battling with a lot of sickness, right? So I made the decision, I pulled the trigger, we jumped back in, and as soon as I jumped back in, I stepped into pneumonia. As soon as I got out of pneumonia, I stepped into COVID. As soon as I stepped out of COVID, I stepped into allergies and all this other kind of stuff. And I was down for a good bit of a time. But I really have my training has taken a shifting. And I'm kind of making my way out of this conditioning phase, and now we're going into a maintenance phase for a lot of things, and that is becoming the seed, right, for
Yes.
the next harvest, right?
Yep.
So um my aspiration is to become a second degree black belt by the end of 2026, going into 2027. So we're on path for that. So you're going to see probably some more content. I have to make sure I'm honoring my community because we don't really put a lot of our training out in the social media space. But I will be making some parallels to life training with martial arts training. You'll see some content there. Business wise, oh my God is so good. That I have been really seeing an evolution in my business. We all know coaching is 21st century leadership, right? It is, everyone who is going to influence individuals in any way in this world has to have some sort of coaching prowess, if
Yeah.
not being a professional coach, having some coaching skills. So that is taking off. But training is the doorway to excellence and performance. And speaking, being able to articulate, it is, in my personal opinion, the beginning of your co-creative relationship with the creator, right? So I am working in those three areas, in a great way. We just landed a good contract for a good solid speaking gig. We're going back to DC to do a full day workshop on disc for a company that I've been doing some work with. Super excited about that. We've got a lot of trainings laid on in the mental health and professional development space. So we're going to see a lot of that coming from ECC. And I'm ready to start making some public offerings, not just in the corporate space, but opportunities for individuals at every level of your growth and development. You're going to have opportunities through ECC to get some personal growth, intentional personal and professional growth going. So you'll see a lot more of that happening here in the third and fourth quarter of this year. Super excited.
Hmm.
All right. All right. And Wayne, uh,
I,
you continue to expand your
I'm
Syncopa
on,
Master.
on my
Your,
I'm on the last leg, right, of my, I call it my farewell tour,
yeah.
Mhm.
because this year has been the year of being grounded. And if you haven't been doing it, I want to encourage you to step outside and walk on the grass bare feet. I mean, as much as I can do that, I'm walking bare feet, literally with my shoes off. And it's the year of being grounded. Now, the latter part of the year is going to be continuing to strategically see myself launch next year, because this time next year, I'm not here. I'm in Belize.
Mhm.
And I'm getting ready for all the transition that is needed. And earlier this year, I was saying, man, I got 101 things to do before I go back to Belize. And I was awakened a few weeks ago to the awareness that all I need to be doing is the one thing. Whatever the one thing is at this moment,
Mhm.
what I need to be doing, not worrying about what is in the past, not running ahead of myself in the
Right.
future. And right now, the one thing is being here. I'm
Right.
I've finished whatever I'm supposed to finish, and I'm not even thinking about what is going to happen after this. But for me, going into the last half of the year, I do have coming up this year's summit, which in the next quarter I'm going to be announcing what happens for the last virtual summit. The in-person summit 2025 is rolling. I mean, I'm going to be launching the first ad for 2025 summit in Belize, because Johnny Brown and Oliver Blue and Yolanda Blue will be in Belize, and all my clients are going to be. Can you imagine being in a summit with all these people who are creating these amazing things, And you guys knew that I was saying this year I want 100 new clients.
Mhm.
And it's going to be this or something greater still. But I got to. John said this to me, which is a principle. I got to become it.
Oh,
Who do I
absolutely.
need to become in order to do
Absolutely.
this thing?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm doing. I'm working on the becoming, and I'll be doing the becoming, the more becoming, so that this thing can be manifested. Because the clients are coming,
Mhm.
and they're the yes, not the no's.
Mhm.
Yes are coming. The yes are coming, and that's what I'm seeing. So going into the end of this year, I'm wrapping up the crossing my T's and dotting my I's, because come 2025, I'm in Belize, and they say if you build it, they will come. So I'm finishing off stronger than I started, and this is there being grounded. I'm really being grounded. Reference to being launched next year.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
excited.
what I'm hearing in all three of those updates is that there's this element of return.
Mhm.
Wayne is returning to his home country to
Yes.
bring all of his training and experience, most of all his heart,
Yes.
back to his first love,
Yes.
right? And you have this tremendous vision
Ooh.
as the minister of transformation to see your country begin to accelerate its expansion, to accelerate the next generation of
Yes.
people and leaders, and to see your country become influential in awakening this world, right, to this thing we call love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
I
excited.
hear I hear that story. See, I just help you reframe that as you expand on what this thing's going to look like,
Mm.
and then I hear within John this return to his love, to his discipline training, to and uh that it is that's where the power is.
Yes.
See, the power is in that first assignment.
Mhm.
Because we were all given this assignment as kids, as children. When we could hear the voice that speaks for love before we got indoctrinated and conditioned, and that voice became faint. But you can remember back as a child, right? You had visions of this as a child, of being this minister of love for
Mhm.
this purpose what I brought into the world, just like our elder brother Jesus. He discovered it as a child, right? And and so I think all of us, personally, professionally, I think the entire world, nations are being called back to this first love, being called back to this place of love. And I think you're going to see this, right, this happening on every level as we move from uh or as we move from the chase of idols, because we realize that it's not in the idol, it's not in the thing, but that we return to the heart.
Mm.
And when you return to the heart, your first inspiration is to serve others, like John said.
Mm.
That's why John said, if you're not serving, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus said, the greatest among them, he said, I come
Yeah.
to serve, not to be served.
Right. Right.
Greatest among you is, because that's what love does.
Mm.
See,
Mm.
love extends itself.
Mhm.
It extends itself.
Mm. There's a song. It says, when the music fades and all is swept away, and I simply come just to come back into that place of worship. It's all about you, God. It's all about you, and God is the author of love, and it's all about God. It's not about anything else but God, and my being one with God, breathing the love of God, the life of God, expressing. So we got to go back, and
Mhm.
what I hear is going back, and you know, Sometimes we run away from this word repent, but all repent means is change your thinking.
Hmm.
And it's not a negative thing. It's
No,
not a don't smoke,
it's
don't drink. No, it's about
no.
renewing my
Right.
mind.
Right.
And my Jesus said, you've been told this, but this is what I say to you. And
Right.
it's about our thinking. How am I thinking? Because my thinking, the seeds of my thoughts give me the outcome of what I'm going to be expressing.
Right.
So um
Right.
whew, I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff,
We,
gentlemen.
we're here to take the fear base out of love.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we have been conditioned in fear based reality, and all of the good that's been given to us all through the years have been taken and reframed in fear based. Our goal is to reframe that back to the original, which is love.
Perfect
Which
love cast
perfect love. It casteth out
fear.
all fear, right? Because fear has torment, right? And so that is not our natural inheritance.
I love this space, and this is the space that when I practice and I teach, I say I it's a condemnation free, it's a guilt free,
Yes.
it's a shame free.
Yes.
That's the space that I operate in because there is no condemnation,
Yes.
there's no guilt, there's no shame.
Yes.
If I'm feeling guilt and shame, I got to ask myself, what are you thinking?
Mm.
Yes.
What are you thinking?
Yeah. Well, guys, we could go on and on and on and on. However, we're gonna stick a pin in it.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen.
Yes, and we'll be back with our third episode of Coach's Corner in the month of
October.
October, and let's see what harvest comes from this when we come back together in October. Thank you, audience, for listening.
Namaste.
Namaste. We wish you all the very best. If you want to uh, connect with any of these teachers here, you can get with John through Ebron Coaching and Consultant.
Yeah.
There's a email or is a what? How do we connect, John?
Yeah, email is probably the easiest, coaching@johnebron.com. That's JOHNEBRON. Or you can find me on Instagram, Coach Ebron. Probably the easier way to get me there. And also, you can just go straight to my website, ebroncoaching.org.
Absolutely. How about you, Wayne?
Well, for now, Facebook is like because all this is streaming now on so many platforms on Facebook. This is actually I sent this to so many different groups, right? But I'm getting ready to launch my new website, which is ministeroftransformation.bz. I got one more meeting with the creator, and it is going to be out of this world.
Super.
Absolutely. And if you're listening in my audience, in my space, you already know you can reach out to Yolanda and I here in all of these social media spaces, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok. We have our own YouTube channel. But you can email us at truly@oliverandyolandablue.com. That's truly@oliverandyolandablue.com. And we're open to share the love. We're open to share the love. All right.
Super.
All right, guys. So until next time, namaste. To you,
Namaste.
John, to you, Wayne,
Blessings.
and to all of you out there, blessings. We'll see you next time, hopefully on the inside. Bye-bye.
All right.